What's up, my dudes? My name is Sister Turley, and this is my first impressions of Battlefield 1, so I'm going to do my best to try to keep the whole honeymoon stage out of it, because most of these first impression videos that you see out there is somebody going, "Oh my gosh, I love the game so much, it's the best game ever," and then 2 weeks later they're like, "Oh, this game sucks, dude, it's too chaotic, I hate this game." So I think it's kind of silly how YouTubers do that, where they really like a game, and then they don't like a game, but they don't realize, hey, it's the honeymoon stage, bro. It happens to a lot of games out there. When you first play it, just because it's something new, it seems a lot better than it really is. So I'm going to try to keep more of a just level first impressions here and not get too crazy with the positives about the game or anything like that. But if I do say something is good about the game, just remember, I'm really keeping in mind, I know there's a honeymoon stage kind of lurking in the background, so don't take it as ingenuine whenever I say something is really cool or good in the game. So, okay, so the first thing about this game is you will get absolutely lost in it, dude. I mean, you guys can see the graphics of it. They are just unreal real. I mean, that's the only way to explain it, man. It's crazy what this game can do, and Call of Duty will never be able to immerse you in a game like this, where it's just, man, you just forget you're even actually a human. You feel like you're in the game. It's pretty crazy, man. It definitely splits the reality and virtual world a little bit when you get something that's this realistic feeling, and it's something that you don't experience anywhere else. I feel like Battlefield is the #1 immersion first person shooter out there, period, bar none. You can't really compete with it on that stage, and this game just amps up the dirtiness and the grittiness and the different sort of weather effects. It's just every little thing comes together and it feels super realistic. So another thing I noticed, and this is more of a sort of not really negative thing, but just kind of weird, bizarre, that's the only way to explain it. There are still those really quirky, janky, unintuitive things that Battlefield is kind of known for. For instance, certain things like not being able to actually, adjust your loadout and pick your different guns and gear and gadgets and stuff in between matches. You can't do that at all. And unless I'm just totally missing it, you can't even do that like in just a home menu screen. The only time you can actually adjust your loadouts is during a game, which is kind of weird because nobody wants to go in there and be trying to adjust their loadouts whenever the game's going on in the background. Like, that's crazy to me. I don't know. And this is somewhere I wish they would take a little hint from Call of Duty, where everything's just really simple. There's a menu, you can go in there, you can adjust everything about your character customization with all your different loadouts and stuff, and you can do it basically at any time. That makes way more sense than only being able to do it when you're in a match. That just really confuses me about Battlefield. I don't understand why they do that. It's like, what the heck, man? I mean, yeah, it's almost like they expect you to already know what every gun is and every equipment and everything and just be able to choose it. But when you first get in the game, you don't know anything. So a lot of times, for me anyways, when I first got in there, and I figure most people do this, you pretty much just waste an entire game's worth of time just going in there and trying to adjust all your loadouts and just see what the heck is in the game, which is kind of silly. And there's not much to do in between matches because, like I'm saying, you can't go in there and adjust your loadouts or anything. So all you can really do between matches is actually open those little battle packs or boxes or whatever they are in this game. So that part of it's kind of weird. I'm not really sure. I mean, you know how Call of Duty is, where in between matches you're always going in there and changing out guns, seeing what different grenades you unlocked and how to get this camo, and that's like a part of the game. It's a really cool, fun part, but that's totally not in Battlefield. You feel really rushed trying to figure out what kind of gun you're choosing and all this stuff because the game's going on in the background. So, I don't know. That's a really weird thing. And another thing that's kind of bizarre about it is you can't actually choose between a frag and a sticky grenade as your default grenade. Battlefield's been known for doing this. I know one of the games, I think it was Battlefield 3, where there was totally different weapons depending on which side, like, team you were on, as far as, like, default weapons. And that was a really weird thing. Like, for instance, if you were like the American team, you would have more of a assault rifle type sniper, and if you were the other team, you would have more like a Dragunov-ish sniper. But it's just weird. I don't even really know how to explain that. The only way to really know what I'm saying is if you played Battlefield before. And in this game, there's the grenades, the default grenade. Yeah, you can go in there and pick between like 7 or 8 different grenades, like small grenades, flame grenades, whatever kind of grenades, gas, whatever you want. But the weird thing is the default grenade is either going to be sticky or it's going to be frag, depending on, I don't know if it's the map or if it's what team you're on, but you can't actually pick between frag or sticky as your default one. It just like randomly sort of does it. So that was another weird thing that doesn't make any sense, because you're choosing between like 8 or 9 different grenades, but you can't choose between frag or sticky. That's just some weird thing about Battlefield. But another good thing about the game is the launch performance overall was very solid. I know last year, or whenever Battlefield 4, I think it was like 2 years ago or whatever, when that game came out, you could not play the 64 player. That was just a mess, man. And especially on that map where the building like fell down and stuff. Oh, dude, at launch, that was just horrific to say the least. But this game so far has played pretty smooth for me. I've played the game for about somewhere in the neighborhood of like 8 to 12 hours already, and I've not really had any problems. I mean, yeah, some people will lag here and there, but it's not bad. I mean, for launch, like, they got it going on. Definitely shouts outs to DICE for that. But okay, so some other little weird things I noticed is I don't understand why there's vehicle specific classes. So this is a new thing they sort of added here, where if you spawn into a plane, which is basically the only way to get it, then you're going to have a very specific class for that. So you're no longer going to be able to spawn in a plane with a sniper and then fly over a building and drop down and land on the building and then be sniping from it. And I actually sort of had this happen one time where I spawned in a plane and I was getting shot down, and I hopped out real quick and I accidentally landed on a roof of a building that you wouldn't be able to get there any other way. But I had a freaking pea shooter, lever action, no good rifle on me and couldn't do anything with it. I couldn't shoot somebody from more than like 10 feet away because that was the plane specific class. So it seems kind of weird. I just don't understand it. I mean, I really liked how there was one class that was actually meant for you know, their whole point to trying to do that was making sure everybody could repair the plane they were in or the tank they were in, and you had sort of an engineer specific class. But to me, it doesn't make any sense because I don't know. I don't really like that change. I don't think it's the best because it kind of limits you to what you can do. Like I was saying, you can't hop out of a plane and land on a building and snipe, and you can't just certain different things. You can't just like hop in a tank and have an assault class and then, you know, spawn in a tank and then jump out of the tank and then be right there in the action. You know how on those other battlefields you would sort of take the vehicles as just transportation, but you really can't do that in this game if you're the person that spawns, the first person that spawns in the actual vehicle, because you're going to have the engineer whatever class that always has a really crappy primary weapon, and you can't really do anything with the class. But you can pick up a weapon if you find it on the ground after you've hopped out of a plane or whatever. So it's this kind of like back and forth weird. I don't really understand why they did that, but I guess it's, some people might like it. I'm not sure. I don't really know. But there's a specific class for the horse. There's a specific class for all different kinds of stuff. So okay, so Another thing is the vehicles are actually a lot of fun in this game. This is probably the funnest battlefield for me as far as the vehicles goes, because there's all different types. You got the horse, which is this like bonsai, super fast, powerful thing where you can just start slaying people on the ground, but you can die really easy with it. So it has that sort of dynamic mechanic to it. And then also the planes are a lot of fun because of the bombing runs, and this is sort of a brand new thing that they've not quite had in a battlefield. From what I can remember, like, you know, most time if you hopped in a jet before, like, you could do strafing runs and stuff, but you couldn't really like do bombing runs. So that just adds another layer to the vehicle combat. The bombing runs is actually surprisingly really satisfying in this game, when you can get a multi, triple, quad kill, vehicle destroyed, all within just one little click of a button with the bombing run. But you got to place it perfectly. I mean, that's another thing about this game. Everything is balanced really well. It's everything has a positive and a negative. But one thing about the balance is it seems like everything has one specific job and it doesn't do anything else very good. So I could see where a lot of people would like that, and I think it's really cool how, you know, everybody's not just running around with the M16 ACOG red dot just lasering people across the map and then you busting up their grill at close range. It's cool how every weapon and every vehicle and everything has their very own specific actual purpose in the game that you're trying to use it for. So for instance, like a submachine gun is going to absolutely suck at medium and long range. For whatever reason in this game, it's very hard to actually sort of burst fire from a distance with a submachine gun. I don't know what kind of mechanic they put into that, but it's not as easy as it's been in older battlefields. Like, you pretty much can't do it. I mean, that's how hard it is. The burst firing, like with submachine guns, they have so much kick in this game that if you just go like dut dut dut, it's almost the same difference as just holding it wide open going dut 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 dut. It's going to give you the same amount of recoil. Very, very similar anyways. So it's hard to shoot people from a distance with a submachine gun, but it's almost like every weapon has been brought down to a sniper's level, where you know how with a sniper in most battlefields they're really good at long range, but once you start getting close range, you can't hardly do anything with a sniper. And that's how every other class feels now. Like a submachine gun feels really good up close, but you can't do anything with it at medium and long range. And the medic class has sort of like a marksman rifle, and this is basically the assault rifle of the game. You can do it full auto or you can do it semi-auto, and you would think that this gun would be good at all ranges and stuff, which it is okay, but a big balancing part to this game is the only real weapons that have scopes is sniper rifles. So it's not like you can hop on there with a SMG and put an ACOG scope on it and be shooting people from a long range. So, and it's really hard to see from like any sort of long distance, so that makes it to where it sort of cuts off any sort of killing you're going to be doing with those other weapons other than a sniper from those ranges. So that really like cuts off what you can do with those fully automatic weapons and stuff like that. But the marksman type rifles, the sort of balancer with them is they have a super small clip. At least the first one I played with, I mean, you can go and it's out of bullets, like straight up that quick. I mean, you can barely get one kill with it, just holding down the shoot button. So that's sort of the balancer to it. And I feel like a lot of these shooter games, they just have not learned how to balance the assault rifles. An assault rifle is just supposed to be okay at everything. It's not supposed to be good at everything, and it seems like some of these companies out there get so confused with that, and that's what kills their balance most of the time, is that you could just hop on an assault rifle, shoot people from pretty much any distance, and be decent at doing it. And really, it needs to be balanced in a sense where it's just okay at everything. It's not particularly good at anything. But like an assault rifle just is amazing at medium range, and it's pretty good at close range, and it's pretty good at far range. So it makes it to where, like, why would you choose anything else? I just love how they don't really have a weapon class in this game that is just like good for everything. Everything has its own particular purpose, but on the flip side, it almost gives it this really basic, simplistic feel where it's like you can't have those more advanced skills and techniques with the SMGs and stuff like burst firing, like I was saying before, because it just doesn't do anything really. And like it just has this different, very, very simplistic feel that a lot of Battlefield games don't have. They have more of a complex where you can use different guns for multiple different situations. This gun, yeah, there you go, Spence. This game is very straightforward with the way that the classes and the vehicles and everything actually performs and the jobs they're supposed to do in the game. So another thing is the destruction is perfect in this game. You can shoot through doors, shoot through windows. It's realistic in that sense where you just get so immersed in the mud and the dirt is constantly flinging and flying. And the really cool thing is you can actually destroy certain parts of a plane. I'm not sure if all the vehicles are this extreme, but with the plane, like, I was sitting there with a sniper rifle and just shot up to a plane one time and it blew out the engine of it, which was crazy because most of the time you're just doing damage until you totally blow something up. But with the planes in this game, you can actually destroy certain parts of it. Like, you can destroy a wing, you can destroy the actual engine, you can take out all these different pieces and parts, and what that does is it makes it very difficult to fly the plane at that point. Every little damage you do to the plane, it's affecting how easy it is to fly, and that's just awesome, dude. That raises the bar so high with the way the realism feels, because you feel like you're actually doing considerable damage even if it's not that much damage, because you know they're not able to control the plane as good at that point. So another thing is when you're actually just in straight up gunfights, that part is very realistic as well. Like, if you're sniping and you get shot, it's very difficult to get back on target, because when you get damaged in this game, you can't hardly aim at all. So it's a lot how, like, what I would think real life shooting would be. You know, like, just picture if you're in a shoot-off with somebody and you get shot once, that's gonna almost put you down no matter what. I mean, yeah, you can shoot back, but you're probably hurting so bad that, and probably so affected by that impact that it's going to be hard to kill them at that point. So it has this really realistic, like, oh, the first shot you can get off is really important, but they could save it at the same time. So it has that cool thing to it. But another thing is, like, every time you get killed in this game, you feel like it was because of your skill. You don't feel like, oh man, I should have killed that guy, but he somehow just blasted me out of nowhere at the last second. Every time you die in this game, you know exactly how it happened, you know why, and you know, okay, I need to improve on my skill. It's not like Call of Duty where you get those really weird, and that's more of just a basic Battlefield thing. I think all Battlefields sort of have that, but another thing is I wish that the healing didn't regenerate on its own in this game, because they're going for a super realistic feel, but health just regens. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. This is something I said back in the day whenever I didn't really know what this Battlefield was going to be and stuff. I was thinking, man, I hope that the health doesn't regen. I know it seems like a little feature, but to me it's such a big deal, because like I was saying, when you shoot the planes and stuff and you're doing a considerable amount of damage, well, like, let's just say you're doing a strafing run with the plane and you just get a little bit of damage on somebody. I would rather it be like, okay, I've actually done some kind of considerable amount of damage, instead of, oh, he can just run over there in the corner and heal up with nothing. It has this, like, underwhelming feeling that there is just automatic re-healing in the game. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It's like they're trying to be super realistic, but they have these unrealistic features in there as well. So it just doesn't make sense to me. But and the way you would heal is actual health packs. So that would make the medic class a whole lot more important. And like anytime you got damaged at all, it would actually, you would have to do something to get more health. So I just think that would be a lot better in this game. But another thing that's pretty cool is you can actually do varying zooms with pretty much every scope out there, even the iron sights. So like an iron sight, you can have it anywhere from 1 times to 1.5 times to 2 times to, and then some scopes you can have like a 5 times, 6, 7, 8. I mean, there's a lot of customization within that kind of stuff. But the unlocks and stuff are still pretty bizarre, kind of like I was saying before, where you don't just unlock things in a linear fashion. It's a very weird, kind of hard to tell what's going on, the way that they have the menus set up and stuff. It's not very just straight up intuitive like Call of Duty is. If you don't know Battlefield, then it's going to be pretty difficult to just hop in here and learn what gun you're going to unlock next, and what perk, or not really perk, they don't really have those in this game, but like different things like, you know, grenades and this, that, and another. That's stuff that you don't really know what you're gonna get next. I mean, it's kind of this weird, like, the menus are not plainly describing what's going on very simply. It's a let me just give you a little example. So like, for instance, the guns you're getting, you may have like one gun at the very top of the list unlocked, and you may have one at the very bottom unlocked, but like you don't know which one you're gonna get next, and it's like this weird progression system. But I guess Battlefield's always kind of been like that, so if you're used to it, it's probably not that big of a deal at all. I'm just saying, if you're coming from Call of Duty, it's gonna be a little more confusing. So alright, so another thing is, maps are amazing in this game. The biomes, they have so many different, every different map you get on feels like a drastically different biome. It doesn't feel like, okay, I'm just in this city map over and over and over again. And the way that they have the different weather effects, it makes every map almost feel like it has 4 different variations to the map, 4 or 5 different variations, because the weather effects are so extreme that you could have a cloudy, foggy, rainy weather effect on that map, and it's going to give it a completely different feel, such a different feel that it almost feels like a totally different map than just a clear sky day on that map. And I'm telling you, it's that extreme, where it's almost like each map is 4 different maps, just simply because of the weather effects. So that's cool. But the different classes, like the elite classes and the behemoths, are a little weird in this game, because they're almost just completely random in the way that you get them. It's quite un-Battlefield like. It's almost like a specialist in Battlefield or something weird like that. And they're super powerful. Yeah, you can take them out, but I don't understand why those are in the game. I honestly don't. They're cool, and it would be cool if like they were more of a kill streak, like you earned them, like somebody earned them on each team, instead of it being this more just like randomized. The way you get the elite classes is they just randomly spawn on the map. So I don't understand what DICE was thinking with that, because they're all about this super balanced, you know, no one's got this overpowered thing and everybody's got a counter to everything. Well, if somebody just randomly picks up a flamethrower, I don't see how that's really balanced. That's almost like Halo, where you're just randomly picking up power weapons. It's kind of weird. But, okay, so another thing, I don't really understand why the squads are still in there. I mean, I know people that love Battlefield love squads, and it's like part of the culture, but to me, the squads just seem pointless. Like, why don't you just make it to where you can spawn on any of your teammates and then just have it simple? The squads thing is like this just useless, I don't understand why it's in the game kind of thing, but, you know, it's whatever. But it feels a little more basic than Battlefield 4. Battlefield 1 is going to have a little bit of a slower pace, and the weapons are very one purpose, like I was saying, but it's not so slow that it's like this just trench warfare and everybody's got just a single shot weapon, muzzleloader. You know what I'm saying? It's not that slow, but it is slower. But like there's still all different types of weapons. I mean, you've got SMGs, LMGs, bolt action snipers, you got semi-automatics, you got shotguns, you got all the different kind of weapons. It just overall, in a sense, it feels a little more basic, a little more slower paced than Battlefield 4. But overall, I thought the game was pretty fun, and that's kind of my first impressions on it, man. We'll see how long the game lasts for me, but it just, man, the way they've done the weather and the different kinds of maps, I love the way they've done that. That's such a big part to first-person shooters that can make them die out really quick, is having over-repetitive map fillings. That's what killed a lot of, like, Black Ops 3 for me. It was like you were just on the same maps over and over and over. And with this game, it's cool because, like I was saying, even if you're on the same map, a lot of times it's a different weather effect, so it doesn't even feel like a map you've been on before. So it's just amazing, and the weather effects can be so extreme that you can have sort of like fog everywhere, and then it makes it to where snipers pretty much can't do long distance shooting at all. And you can have, you know, variations like that, so it's totally changing the gameplay for that particular game that you're in. I'm telling you, it can have so much fog that you can't even see like 30 feet in front of you, so you're not going to have those snipers from a super long distance. But another thing is, I don't understand why they don't have free-for-all in this game. I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it, like, why not have free-for-all? It doesn't make any sense. A first-person shooter multiplayer game needs free-for-all. I don't care if it's Battlefield. I don't care if this is a super realistic, team-based. Like, dude, put free-for-all in there. It's not that difficult. I mean, oh my gosh, like that would add such another layer to this game where, you know, you're kind of going back and forth between Team Deathmatch and Conquest, and then you play Rush every once in a while. But if they had free-for-all in there, that would just give it another level, another layer you could go in there and play around with, and where it's just all based upon what you do. It's not, you don't have to rely on teammates. And for me, like, I'm always been the kind of dude where I wanted to see what I could do by myself. I mean, some people call some people out there like Rambos in Call of Duty and stuff like that. I'm not really like that. It's just, I like to at least see what I could do on my own in a game. So, like in Call of Duty, I'll go back and forth between free-for-all and team deathmatch, and you just get a different variation with the gameplay and the feelings you get in the game. So, that's a big part to it. But anyways, thanks for watching the video. Later, dudes.